What's up guys, Gabriel Varga here. Today we're back with my series where we look at the best fighters in the world. I give you 5 amazing attributes that these fighters have and training tips that you can utilize in the gym to be a little bit more like them. Today guys, I am very excited to be covering Rose Namajunas. We're going to be talking about the amazing attributes she has that allowed her to win a UFC world title, be gone for a little bit, take a little bit of a break, and then win a second one. This athlete, she impresses me. Her striking impresses me, and it takes a lot for me to say that. As a 6-time kickboxing world champion, a lot of times when I watch MMA fighters, I'm not blown away by their striking, but her striking is on point. It's what we're going to focus on today. Alright guys, as mentioned, it takes a lot to impress me when I see UFC fighters and I look at their striking, but Rose definitely did that. The first time I was sitting down and I saw her, I think my brother and I were watching, and we both looked at each other, we're like, whoa, this girl's legit. And this was before she won her first UFC title. She's becoming a household name in MMA, but I want to go through and break down all the little details of things that I am just blown away by. And I want to start today with the very first thing that really stood out to me. The first time I saw her fight, what really grabbed my attention? It was her crispy, sharp hands. It's quite often in MMA where I see the girls striking where it gets a little bit wild. It happens with many fighters in MMA, but the fact that they have to worry about the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the submissions, all that kind of stuff takes away from their ability to really focus in on the striking the way I'm able to focus on my striking. So I can't hold it against a lot of the MMA fighters that their shots are not as crispy as the kickboxers, but man, Rose's are. Remember the first time seeing her, she's moving around, it was just boom, it was straight out, boom. It was so fast and so crisp when she lets her 1-2 go, just everything is on point. It's very rare to see her throw a shot that is missing and is loopy and it looks sloppy in any way. Everything she does is just on point. Now, it should be said that she is married to Pat Barry. I knew Pat Barry a long time before I knew Rose. Pat was actually pretty big on the kickboxing scene back in the old school K1 days, and he was one of the big guys through North America that did quite well. And then I believe he actually was on, I was supposed to be on a Glory event with him over in Dubai, and I'm sure his striking prowess has been really good for Rose because Pat Barry did have very nice striking as well. So I'm sure he's passed some of that on to, I believe it's his girlfriend or his wife. I'm not sure at this point. But one of the things that I don't see everybody do in the gym that I'm sure Rose is doing is, hands start right here when they're shadow boxing or hitting the bag. They always come back to here. That's something that I've always really tried to do. Never let my hand come back even an inch too low. Don't let it come back to just here. It always comes back to the cheekbone. Probably for MMA cheekbone, for myself, it's up to the temples, and it's just snap out as fast as you can. Crisp, crisp. Everything is being as sharp as possible and coming back to the head. I love this about her. I think it's her crisp shots that is one of the big reasons that she's able to avoid taking big punches. I love on-point technique. Technique that just looks like at any moment you could take a picture of it, click, click, and then show it to somebody, show a stream of photos and be like, this is picture perfect. This is what striking technique should look like. So when you guys are at home, when you're at the gym and you're striking away, think every time all the basics. Elbows, stay in, don't flare them. Engage slightly from the hips, straight out to the target, straight back to the head. No wasted motion. We don't want to leave the head open for any longer than it needs to be open. Moving on guys to the next point, I want to talk about how calm she is. As a fighter who doesn't really get emotional, I like seeing other people who are very successful who are just sort of stoic. She's just stone-faced. In a face-off, she got a little bit of a shove, didn't throw her off at all. Guys, for the most part, would be freaking out, trying to run at the guy and attack him. She's just stone-faced. She just saves it for the cage, puts everything in there. I think that is amazing. I think fighting with emotions, maybe because I'm not a big emotional person in the ring, but I think it's a waste of energy. If you can get in, know you're doing a job, know your strengths are, know how you're going to take the person apart, be very, very strategic in your attack, almost robotic in the way you go about doing your job. I think it makes you that much better a fighter. It's something that Rose does so well, and I'm so impressed. And I've always kind of been waiting for somebody in my career to come and give me a shove or badmouth me. Nobody does it in kickboxing. Everybody's so friendly, so much of a gentleman. But I always thought it would be funny. Like the first time if somebody came up and slapped me in the face or something, I'd just be like, okay, tomorrow. And Rose, I think she does that as well. I'm very impressed by it. Guys, when you are preparing for an event, whether the person says something, whether they do something to you, whether they say something about your family, who cares? Don't get emotionally involved. I think Rose has proved it very well. It works if you're able to just stay calm, stay focused. Don't let the outside things bug you. It's all what's happening in here. And if you can stay calm and composed, I think it's going to make you that much better a fighter. Moving on, guys, of course we have to talk about Rose's high kicks. They are on point. It's what won her back her UFC title. Just a little smack and down the champion goes, and all of a sudden we have a new champion in Rose. There's nothing super profound about the way Rose executes her high kicks. It's not like she's throwing some like fancy Brazilian kick, or she's throwing it with loads of power, or she's doing jumps or anything like that. What she does do very well, as we already mentioned when she throws her hands, I mean, these are not fancy techniques, these are basics, but she does them as perfect as possible. Same thing with the head kick. There's no fanciness. It's just something that you would learn on your first month or first year into the gym. You just learn how to lift and snap it out. That's it. But because I think she's drilled it over and over and she keeps everything so crisp, she's able to land these amazing high kicks. And it also has to be noted that her accuracy is very, very impressive. I am very, very impressed with her accuracy. When you have somebody throwing a high kick, and a lot of times, you know, it lands here, it lands there, it lands there. Just sort of throw it up and hope it lands. And the way she landed it when she won back her title, just lifting and clipping right up against the jaw, it was just bam. It just shows me that she is not just throwing, but she's actually aiming for a specific part of the head. Or at least that's what I think. I mean, maybe she is just throwing it up and she's been lucky, but I'm much more inclined to believe that it's less about luck when you reach that level and more about your skill. And she's obviously demonstrated that she's a very, very skilled fighter, so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that everything that she's doing is planned out to a certain extent. If you are trying to get better at high kick placement, first of all, be aware that you don't want to just throw high kicks with no plan in mind. Like, am I going to go here? Am I going to go here? What's the plan? Am I trying to wrap around the arms and come to the back of the head? So when you're working, let's say on Bob, it's perfect because there's an actual target. If I want to touch the jaw, I need to be very aware of distance. If I close to here, I know I'm not hitting the jaw. If I come to here, I know I'm missing. I need to be able to understand my exact distance. Right now I'm out of range, but if I shuffle step up the way she did, then I can come right in to the jaw. If I move into this range here, I know I'm too close, so I'm coming shin up to the head. A lot of the success that she has with her high kicks is probably just based on repetition and understanding her body so well. Understanding range, understanding where she needs to be, and what foot motion she needs to do to make minute adjustments to strike at the perfect point. Now, this is a lot harder to practice when somebody's holding up a Thai pad or you just have a big round bag that you're hitting. So try to work with your training partners something smaller, maybe a little kick shield. Maybe your partner's just gonna put their hands up, or when you're on the bag or you're on a bob or something, find a very specific point on that large object that you're going to be aiming for. We don't really need to dive into her actual technique, because the technique, as I mentioned, is just a very basic kick executed close to perfection. That's all you need sometimes. You don't need to worry about all the fancy things. You just need to worry about getting very good at the basics. Oh, and guys, if you're enjoying the video, you're enjoying the content today, give it a like. If you have not already, get subscribed. I appreciate all of you, everything you're doing to help the channel grow. Let's continue on with the episode. The next thing I want to talk about in regards to Rose being so good is her long boxing. I like the way that she's always throwing just outside of range. She keeps people there. She's touching. She makes the small step forward, tap, tap. She's very long in her arms at this point. It's not like she's jamming herself in here where the counters are going to land easier. And this is very smart for MMA, because with those small gloves, you want to be able to exit quickly and not end up in that fray of punches. So her ability to move, to touch, to fake out, to touch, to move in and work those single long shots is amazing. Especially, and I might be wrong, but I believe she is a longer arm fighter in her division. So being able to utilize that and keep the shorter fighters at that range is very beneficial. If you guys want to get better at your longer boxing, but you feel like you're jamming yourself a little bit, what you can do is stick a line on the floor. You guys can't see my feet right now, but that's fine. I know that about right here, that's the range that I want to be punching at for my full length punches. So I would put a line on the ground right around here. I know that I'm not going to pass it. I can literally look down at the ground and make sure I don't step beyond that. And then from there, I can work on the outside. When I jump in, I hit the line, I don't go any further, and then I touch with long punches. And then I move in and out, in and out. All my arms are long, and I never put myself in that danger range where I'm hitting, putting myself, if I'm fighting a shorter person, putting myself in their element, in their zone, in that spot where they can counter with those shorter limbed arms. Now, guys, it moves us on to the next point, and something which sort of covers everything that we've been talking about, because we've been looking in detail at this striking that she has while she still utilizes basics. She doesn't get super fancy, so why is she able to touch people all the time? Well, I believe one of the big reasons is she very rarely, in my opinion, very rarely looks like she tries to hit somebody 100% with all her power. She's more about touching. She keeps touching and touching and touching, and you don't need to aim through all the time. You don't need to put your hand from here to knock somebody down. She proves it. People are going down. It's not like she hits light. She just touches and aims through a little bit. Are you better off landing one massive shot and missing 5? Or are you better off landing 3 of those ones touching away on people? I'm inclined to believe I like the way that Rose does it. She touches, she uses that footwork to step on the outside. She uses her long arms, she mixes in those nice high kicks, and the whole time she is keeping everything at range. She's touching with less than 100% power. It's going to do a couple things for you. Number one, it's going to keep you from getting too frantic. We already talked about her energy, how calm she is. When you start throwing with that intent to knock people out, you kind of lose your focus. You become less calm. The second thing it does, which I really like, is it doesn't blow the gas tank really early. She's doing a title fight, 5-minute rounds. It's very exhausting when she goes, or anybody goes, in with that massive power trying to score the knockdown, and then the person steps away and you realize, oh shoot, they're still here and I just got really tired. But with her style of touching, flicking things up, it's less likely that she's going to burn down, and she will be able to have gas for that full 25 minutes if needed. And if you are a power puncher, you're not like Rose. You don't want to always go like 50, then 60, maybe 70%, 80%, but you like to throw 100, then try to make sure that you're doing more like, okay, 50% sometimes, and then up to 100. But if you throw 100 all the time, every time you throw, you're whipping 100% power. Every time you miss, every time that person steps back, you're just going to get that much more tired, that much more discouraged. That's why these less than 100% shots that Rose throws are so smart. I really believe she is a super intelligent fighter. And something else that I want to mention, just kind of a bonus point, a super good person. She just seems like somebody who's really, really nice. Now, I'm not somebody who really believes in karma, like you do good things and good things will come. I think there are, unfortunately, people in the world who are not great people who can still have good lives. But I'd like to think that somebody like Rose, who just seems like she's all about being kind, working hard, helping others, will end up getting good things. And hopefully her winning UFC titles is pretty much like 99.9% down to how hard she works, but maybe that little 0.1% is just down to the fact that, you know, she's getting a little bit of that goodness back. I'm super happy to cover a very nice fighter like this. I have covered some of the fighters in this series already where I'm like, this is an impressive fighter, but I don't think they're an awesome human being. And I'm sure I'll cover more of those type of people in the future, because learning from them, learning from their striking is beneficial for everybody. But it's a pleasure to cover somebody like Rose, who just seems like a top-notch person. Somebody we can all aspire to be a little bit more like, not only in the technique that she demonstrates, but also in her persona, her personality, just who she is. It's very impressive, very nice to see a champion who is so humble, just like her. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of Rose. Needless to say, I am very impressed by her. I hope you are too. I hope you have a couple tips from this video that you can take and go and practice in the gym. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like. If you haven't already, guys, get subscribed. As always, guys, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.